Hello YouTube. Today is a bit of a different style video. Today we're on the computer. We're going to be looking at how to do basic conventional programming with a Harris radio using radio personality software. I thought I'd make this video because somebody in the comments of the last video asked me to. So we're just going to kind of go over the basics and look at different settings and stuff like that. So you can go here. You're going to go ahead and click this. It's going to give you a list of all the radios. I'll leave those in the description so you can have a reference. So for this video, we'll do the 100p just because it's all band. It's easier to do. So go ahead and press OK. So you have systems, which is, I guess, another way that you would say personalities for Motorola. And then you also have zones, sets, and options. So we'll go ahead and start with systems. So you go ahead and click add new system. Now with the 100p, you can do conventional, P25 conventional, and Project 25 trunking. So for this, we're just going to do conventional. So we'll do P25 conventional, and we'll just name this demo. So you also have the long name here. This top name is what will show on the top of the radio's display. The long name is what will show on the front of the display. So you can call this like demo system if you wanted to. You can name it anything. I'm just going to leave it demo. Down here you have your transmit powers, so you can set these to very low, medium, and high. So we're going to go ahead and pop over to this tab here at the top, and in here you have all your settings. So to get started with actually creating a channel out, you go to conventional frequency sets. So now basically this is your channels. You don't have to create a zone. The systems basically contain all the data, and on the radio it looks like a zone. You can create zones. Let's say if you have P25 trunking, you want to intertwine with conventional stuff. You can create a zone. However, with the 100p, it's going to show both systems and zones. The 200 series, the XL series, I should say, sorry, fix that where you can disable it and only show zones or only show systems. So, or I actually think you can show both as well. So, you know, so we're going to go ahead and press new P25 frequency set. We'll name this demo again. Now up here you have P25 group sets. So this is if you have talk groups, priority channel 1 and 2, vote scan stuff. I'm not really going to get into voting scan. But anyway, so down here you have your name of the channel. So you can set the name and it'll reflect on both, or you can set a long name. So for this, we'll just call this demo CH1. So over here you have analog and Project 25. When you have it in P25, Harris radios do this. I believe the newer XL series radios don't do it, or there's an option to disable it, but you're always going to receive any traffic on the channel. So what I mean is, let's say you're operating in Project 25. If you get a transmit from on the same exact channel in analog, you will receive that signal. So the way around it is, if we go down here, there's this thing that says RxCG. Essentially, this is like a PL tone, CT, CSS, DPL, whatever you want to, or sorry, not DPL. Or maybe, yeah, I'm thinking, yeah, DPL, sorry. So essentially what I do is I just had it's like 1, 2, 3. Boom. Now you don't have to worry about somebody opening that channel unless they somehow had 1, 2, 3 as their transmit. CG is here. I believe it's, I don't know what it stands for. So you have your NAC, network access code. So these are, obviously standard Project 25 NAC. And up here you have your power, so low and high. Talk group ID, that would be, again, linked to the P25 group sets. So for this, we're going to do P25. We're going to do, I don't know what channel to program. This is just a demo channel. We're just going to do, for an example, 155.000. Oops, add the decimal. Okay, so now you have your bandwidth, wide, narrow, and C4FM. Obviously, you can change those depending on if it's analog or Project 25. You have your squelch, you You have your RX default NAC, so that means that it'll just receive the default NAC. And then obviously you have data. I don't know what that is. Scan and TX busy. So if you go ahead and let's go over to pop over to analog. Obviously the TX NAC goes away, but signaling pops up. So here you can have the 100p can't do G star, but you do have MDC and enhance ID if the radio's option for it. So that's just kind of a basic look at this. So let's get a little more into it with Project 25 with a group set. So, okay, what we're going to do here is back on this menu, you're going to click down and then click the, what would it be called? The set for that system. So some other options you have here is like confirm TX, emergency display, emergency audio, CG cell, and DTMF. DTMF, you know, obviously DTMF. So you have your emergency behavior. You can do emergency call and alarm, call, or just emergency alarm. Talk around indicator. So if disabled, transmit only and transmit and receive. You have your iCall sets, which are for, that's for like, how would I describe it in other radio terms? Like friendly ID. So you could be like radio ID 1222 is this person. So unit ID is for Project 25. And then obviously your fixed network equipment, light ID, security key. So if you're using encryption, MDC ID. So you'd put that there. Custom scan list. That's another thing you can create. You have legacy systems and standard. I don't know much about that. Radio text link. This is IP-based stuff. Encryption. These radios don't do ARC4. The 100Ps at least. Other radios do. So make sure you check if you need ARC4. Allow standard P25 message receive. That's part of the text link stuff. And then there's also like unit registration. So, okay, we're going to go ahead and close out of that. We're going to go down to sets. We're going to go to group sets. And we're going to create one called demo. So you have your group name and long name. So group name, we'll just call this one demo like we have been. So over here you have P25 trunking group options. So this would be if you're using this for P25 trunking. We're not doing trunking, so this is not important. Up here, the system ID and stuff is not important because we're just doing analog stuff. Or, I'm sorry, conventional stuff. So the group ID is the talk group ID. So you can use... You're going to yell at me? Okay. We'll just set you to 1 then. You can use group ID 0. I don't know how that would work. I'm pretty sure the radio will throw an error for that. I'm not sure. So let's say your talk group ID is 10. You can use encryption, obviously. You can set it to scan. I believe it actually ignores this if you do it like that because, again, it's not trunked. Oops. So if we go back to systems, conventional frequencies, and click demo, and talk group ID demo. So that's kind of a basic look at this. Now, if you want a receive only channel, you actually just make the TX 0, and it will ignore and won't transmit. So if you're just trying to monitor P25 traffic that's on conventional, then you just don't put in a TX and you only put in an RX. Okay, so now that we've done that, let's look at what other options we have here. So if we're going to go down to options, accessory device, oops, that threw up off screen. So you have PTT mode, so both or any. I think that's between the accessory device and the radio. Noise cancellation, microphone selection. So top would be the mic, bottom I believe would be the radio, and down sensitivity, detected delay and warning delay. Don't really mess with that. So alert options, ready to talk, out of range alert tone. So this would be for if you're in trunking. How frequent the tone goes. Vehicle repeater activation tone, stuff like that. Audio settings, here you have speaker, so you can actually disable the speaker. Noise cancellation, so I actually really like the noise cancellation on the XG-100. It works really good. The 75 as well, I still have to make a video about that. The noise cancellation is good. I think the 100P does it better. But you also have PTT, so you can disable push to talk. You can make it so only the accessory can push to talk, or just the radio and the accessory. You can turn on tones or keep them off, keypad tones on or off. External microphone, so you can turn up the gain like crazy. Internal microphone, same thing. And the speaker minimum volume. So this only goes to, I believe, a max of 14. Yeah. So like a minimum volume of 2 would be, I don't even know how you would compare it to anything else really. Uh, that's it's like quiet, but not like too quiet to where it's 0. So, okay. So battery options: lithium ion poly, nickel metal hydride, alkaline, and premium primary lithium. So I have lithium ion poly. What are these? Hang on. Whatever, lithium polymer. And when I use my radio, I don't set this to lithium ion poly. They die too fast. I actually set it to nickel metal hydride. It doesn't do anything to the radio that I know of. I've been doing this for months. I set it to that just because then the radio doesn't drain as fast. So yeah, if you really want to set it to that, you can. It's just it'll probably die pretty quick unless the batteries are, brand new. Next thing is Bluetooth. So one really good thing that the 100Ps do that sadly they took out on the 200 series, well, sorry, I should say XL series again, is you can't Bluetooth program. You can Wi-Fi program those, but you can't Bluetooth program them. That's the benefit to these. You don't need a programming cable if you buy it. So let's say you buy one and it's got a weird, funky mission plan. You can do the 3-finger salute, and I believe the default mission plan has Bluetooth enabled, and then you pair it to your computer, and then you go through that fun process. So Bluetooth allowed, you can turn it on and off, and then I'll get to more settings later that can dictate that, but Bluetooth enabled, whether or not it's actually on or not, and then the friendly name, so just what shows up on devices. You have your clock settings. This is tied into GPS, so if you have GPS enabled, which we have not gotten to yet, that determines whether or not your clock will work. If you do not have GPS turned on, it'll show Harris at the top. Depends on the radio, I should say that. On the 100P I'm talking about here. It'll show Harris on top, and then if it's actually got GPS enabled, then it'll show the time. And then you have your UTC, you find whatever plus, minus, up, down, left, right you are. So conventional emergency and home channel options. So conventional emergency home. So that would be you activate an emergency. I believe it would send you to the home. Not sure. Don't mess with that. Custom scan. Here we go. So new list. We'll call this demo. So you can intertwine trunking and conventional. I have not had a problem with it. However, you can't scan conventional to trunking. You have to be trunking to conventional. It slows it down a bit. It does priority trunking over the other things. However, I've not noticed any significant issues. So, and then obviously here you can radio wide custom scan options. I've never really messed with that. I'll mess with it at some point, but data options, yeah, don't mess with this stuff if you don't need to, especially if you're touching trunking. I don't recommend touching this stuff. If you have in-band GPS here, so push to talk or emergency. Diagnostic options, IP echo, yeah, so that's diagnostic stuff. Digital voice, yeah, I mean, I guess encryption mode, auto selector forced on. There's that. Display. Here you can have momentary on or off. The brightness of the display. Front backlight timeout. Top backlight, momentary, off and on again. Brightness, timeout, orientation, front, back, or auto. Audio's, I don't know how it works, honestly. Yeah, I don't know how the auto orientation works. I know it does do something, but I don't know how that works. So, yeah. Top display color, that'll show the display in white. DTMF options, muted or audible, and then no pre-emphasis filled. So, if you want to actually hear your DTMF, yeah, you can. eData, we're not going to mess with that. General options. So allow P25 unsolicited affiliation, override default, whatever that means. Noise cancellation type, method A or B. I believe that's whatever microphone it uses. AGC. And personality lockout, so you can lock it to a device. GPS. So obviously you can have it on. If you're monitoring P25 trunking, you can keep GPS on as long as you don't have any of the I actually don't know if the 100P sends GPS data over trunking. However, I would make sure that NPN GPS is turned off. Key names, yeah, we don't have keys. OTAR, make sure that's off, especially if you're monitoring trunking. Wide area networks, this is used for trunking, or apparently you can also use it for conventional stuff. I assume that's probably for if it was a something tied into something. I don't mess with that. Power up, so you can have it go to a default system or just default, which is the first system in the radio. Power up pin and minimum pin length, as long as audible tone and scan. And keypad lock. Programmable buttons. There's a whole list you can go through. Programmable knobs. ABC is set default to channel bank. And programmable menus. That's when you press the middle white dot on the 100P, it comes up with a list of stuff. Individual call. This would be for obviously individually calling. So yeah, you can set this up. Let's say you have your buddy Mike Refone. Oh, I can't put the full name. Okay, if I could like actually, there we go. And his ID is like 6568. So yeah, you can set that up. Programmable phone call. Yeah, we're not getting into that. Pro scan. Yeah, that's trunking stuff. Don't really want to get into that. Text link, that's that. Scan. And here you have options for scanning. I mean, transmit selected, or yeah, if you want to mess with that. Security policy. Yeah. Signaling options. This is where you would configure MDC and enhanced ID. Status and message. Yep. That stuff. Not. Oh, yeah. Supervisory options. Failsoft, declare emergency, clear emergency, emergency lock, emergency lid. Send emergency and clear, and drop group call. And disable noise cancellation during emergency. System scan options, there's that. And then there's like type 99. Tone encode, so if you have type 99 encode decode on your radio. Portable, so user UI privileges, if you have it set to full, you can enable and disable things on the front panel. Limited, it's more limited, and restricted is restricted. To actually do FPP, you need to have a channel edit and a maintenance password. Voice announcements, yeah, these radios do voice announcements. You need a programming cable to configure those, so yeah, that was just kind of a basic go over of it. If I missed something or you need clarification, let me know in the comments. And yeah, I hope you appreciate it. Thanks.